welcome to Tome of Uselessness. I'm Devin.
I'm Dan.
And today we're going to talk about rom-coms from the 90s and also sitcoms from the 90s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it works.
And some of the, like I said, I got some from the 2000s as well, where we could look at some of them.
No, get out.
Yeah.
It's okay. Everybody knows that the 90s ended in like 2005.
Right.
Did you like anything this week?
Yes, I have some stuff here. After our last little recording we did, I did start watching some She-Ra.
Nice.
And I finished season 1.
And do you love it?
I very much did enjoy it and would highly recommend the show. It's very well put together.
Excellent.
Yeah. I also... Have you heard of a show called Corporate?
No.
It's a Comedy Central show. I saw an ad for it, and it's about people, working in an office. So I was like, oh, that could be kind of comedic. So I watched all of it, which is season 1 to 3. The first 2 seasons only have 10 episodes, and the second one has like 6. So it was pretty funny. It had some good jokes. It was, more kind of in that millennial humor where it's just like,
we're all sad all the time.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Or he's like, oh man, I see the bagel I want to get. And then someone, like the boss comes in and is just like, we don't have time to eat bagels, and like knocks them all on the ground.
No!
Yeah, basically. So like, I don't know. I thought it was pretty funny, enjoyable. It's basically about like 2 junior executives in training, which is hilarious. So they interact with like high level boss type people who are nuts, and then some low, employees that they kind of oversee here and there. But yeah, I enjoyed it, and that was Corporate. It's all finished. I don't know. It was Comedy Central, so I don't even know if it's on a streaming platform of some sort. But
oh yeah,
it was kind of fun. I think I mentioned last time that I was going to be reading The End of All Things, which was the last book in the Old Man's War.
Yes, was it good?
I finished it. It was good. I did enjoy it. It was a cool series, and I would recommend.
Cool.
I have I read The Memory Police.
Oh, what's that about?
So it's by a Japanese author by the name of Yoko Ogawa, and it's about a woman, and she's an author in the story. So we get glimpses, like it does the thing where she's writing a book at the same time, so it parallels some of the events within the novel as well. So it's like it's like a barometer of what's kind of happening. But it's basically about an island, unnamed, I assume a part of Japan, let's say.
Yeah.
Where people wake up like a random day, and then something has basically been disappeared. So for example, they wake up one day and then calendars are no longer a thing in their brains, but they like have calendars.
Oh.
So they have to like destroy them and get rid of them. And then there's the memory police that make sure that's all kind of done.
Weird.
It's pretty weird. And it's basically about her, but there are some people on the island, when something has been disappeared, they don't forget.
Oh.
Yeah, so, and like her mom, it turns out, was like one of those people, which is like revealed in the beginning of the book. It's not a huge spoiler.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's like that kind of thing is going on, but then the memory police are trying to find them because they can still remember. It was pretty interesting. It was just something different from, a different perspective from like a Japanese author.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting, just like her writing style and like some of the characters, like one of the characters, the main characters don't have like names. It's just essentially she calls like one person's the old man and the other person's like R, and you're just like, okay.
That's cool. I kind of like that weirdness.
Yeah. I from what I read from the about the author, she's written other things and has done very well in she's won like literally awards and stuff like that. So yeah.
Cool.
It was interesting. It was just something a little different. And then I went back and picked up Fragments of Horror, which is a Junji Ito collection from 2015. Mm-hmm. Just some more horror stuff from that guy who I really enjoy. And then I got the Black Widow collection from 2016, which was 12 issues of that comic run. And it's about Black Widow, of course. And it was really good.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I heard about it previously, and it was kind of like, not well, like touted as being like, oh, this is like a really good run. And it was pretty cool. It was reading it. It was like, this would make a movie, essentially. Especially in the current MCU with like only a little bit of tinkering, because like the Winter Soldier shows up, Iron Man shows up, and Nick Fury's in there, Maria Hill. So it's like all those characters are there, and it's basically a classic, like she's forced to go rogue, but she's still trying to work for the good guys.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was really good, and some good art, and classic, her Russian past and etc. stuff. So
cool.
Would also recommend that.
Cool.
And I think that's it. Yeah, that's all I got.
I haven't been watching that much, so my list is shorter than yours.
Sure, that's all good. What do you got?
So first, I listened to season 1 and 2 of The Dream, which is a podcast. Mm-hmm. Season 1 is about MLMs, and season 2 is about wellness, like goop wellness, I guess.
I think you were talking about that last time, right?
I think I texted you about it.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. But it's really well researched and really well done, and it kind of does a good job of like, especially season 1 does a really good job of talking about like why people join MLMs and like psychologically kind of what goes on and why people don't leave. And yeah, I would recommend it. It's pretty good.
Cool. And how many episodes, like in say season 1, or was it?
I feel like I listened to season 1 in a day. Mm-hmm. But let me just double check here. It might have a lot of episodes, but I still listen to it in a.
Sure. Well,
sometimes I binge.
Well, and of course, that's one of the great things about anything, podcasts especially. But it's like, yeah, you turn it on, and you're doing other stuff, right?
Totally. 11 episodes.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
And they're like, I don't know. I feel like they're just under an hour.
Cool.
I've been listening to You're Wrong About, as always. I've mentioned them tons of times, but they're doing a series on Princess Diana. And yesterday they put out episode 4 of 5 about Princess Diana. So that's been pretty interesting. I had no idea what a hot mess she was.
Yeah, I listened to the first 3 of that.
Okay,
it was very interesting.
Now. Yeah, it's super interesting, right?
Because I also didn't realize all of that as well.
Yeah, I was just like, holy shit. When you listen to episode 4, you're going to be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
In my mind, I don't know about you. You were a little bit older than me, but I always kind of thought she was like this perfect, like selfless person who just wanted to help other people.
Yes. Yeah.
I didn't know about like her depression. I didn't know about her bulimia. So I don't know. It's worth listening to.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're all 3 of those episodes that I've listened to so far have been really good and very interesting about it.
Oh yeah. Episode 4 is great too.
Nice.
For when you're ready. And then I wanted to mention Maintenance Phase, which is Michael Hobbs' new podcast with a blogger called Your Fat Friend. Mm-hmm. Have you listened to it yet?
No, but you definitely mentioned it as well.
Okay, so today their 3rd episode came out, but it's just about like the myths of like dieting and fat phobia and stuff like that. So it's pretty interesting too.
Cool.
And then that's about it, except I also wanted to recommend a YouTube video if you have time to watch it, because it's over an hour long. Mm-hmm. But the YouTuber is Sarah Z or Sarah Z. I think she's American, so Sarah Z.
Yeah.
and it's called The John Locke Conspiracy. And it's about people's reaction to the BBC series Sherlock.
Really?
And conspiracies about... Have you watched all 4 seasons?
No, I think I checked out after the 2nd.
Okay.
In fact, I don't even think I finished the 2nd. Maybe? I know there was the Hounds of Baskerville.
You finished the 2nd one because that's when he jumps off the building.
Is that when the Reichenbach Fall is? Okay,
yeah,
then I guess I watched those too.
Okay, so season 4 goes, like, season 3 is disappointing, and season 4 just, like, is like, what the fuck? guys. So there was like this conspiracy going around on Tumblr because the last episode, like the finale of season 4, was leaked on a Russian site the day before it came out on the BBC.
Like and the video, or
like the whole episode?
Right. Like, sorry, not a script leak. It was like, here's the episode.
Yeah, here's the episode,
okay.
Right? And people saw it, and they thought that it was like a decoy, and that the real episode would be aired the next day because it was so bad. And then, even after it was aired, there was like a show replacing it, and people were like, it was a brand new show, and people were like, that show's a decoy. It's going to be the actual finale that explains things. And it's still kind of like going on a bit. So, I don't know. It was interesting. If you like weird internet stuff, I would recommend it.
Oh, that does sound kind of cool. Yeah, I don't know. Thinking back, I think I did watch 1 or 2 episodes of season 3. Maybe
when
one.
When his wife is introduced?
Definitely not then, no.
No, like Watson's wife.
Watson's wife? No, no, I did not.
Oh, okay.
Because I thought the Hounds of Baskerville episode was in season 3.
No, that's it. That's episode 2 of season 2.
Right.
Episode 1 is Irene Adler.
Yes.
Episode 2 is Hounds of Baskerville, and episode 3 is the Reichenbach Fall. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Also, if you do like weird internet stuff, this YouTuber has a pretty lengthy video about the Harry Potter fan fiction called My Immortal, which is like infamous, and who wrote it, and how, like, it's bizarre because like people make fake accounts to, like, I don't know. It's so weird when you get into the weeds of it. You're like, what the fuck? Who has time for this?
Yeah. Why did someone do this?
Like, My Immortal is like an emo, like, mall goth kind of version of Harry Potter. And it was really bad, and it got a lot of negativity. And then there was all this, like, meta storytelling about the author and her friend and them getting in fights and her boyfriend. And then it turns out that all these people are fake, like it's all the same person.
Right.
And then there's people claiming to be that person, but then they don't have the login information to that account. And it's like so weird. So if you want to take a trip down weird lane, I suggest it.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it. That's all I got on my list.
Cool.
Yeah. Should we get into the episode?
Sure. What are we doing here?
Okay, so I have 3 rom-coms from the 90s that I have ranked from least problematic to most problematic. That I'm familiar with, that I kind of wanted to talk to you about because I still enjoy watching them, but there's like a ton of red flags. And sure. I think it's important to, like, I don't know, to acknowledge it. Like when you're watching shows and movies that, like, you can enjoy something, but also think it's really fucked up if it existed in real life.
Yeah.
So that's what I've got. What do you have?
Well, I guess I misinterpreted-ish a little bit, but I made a list of sitcoms from the 90s and the early 2000s mostly, of just kind of like shows I had seen or heard of, and that we could either just talk about some of them, because many of them I wasn't a fan of or watched, but I could understand, or maybe, like, yeah, if we were just talking about like some of the kind of the weird stuff that came out from that era, it's like, there's some weird stuff that came out in that era.
There really is, like, and when I don't know if it's just because we're looking back at it, probably, but like there is a lot of weird messages that was in film and TV at that time, you know?
Sure. Well, it's the same, like, even when I was younger, watching like what the heck's the name of the show? It was just in the tip of my brain a second ago, but it was about the guy, and he was always mouthing off with his wife Edith, and it was like from the 70s.
Oh, no, no. Are you talking about the Honeymooners?
No, not the Honeymooners. It's the other one, and it's like he always sat in his chair, and his son-in-law was like a a 70s guy with the hair, and he was like a hippie. Dang it, it's gonna bother me anyway.
Are you talking about that 70s show?
No. No. Ironically, it came out in the 70s, but it wasn't made in the late 90s.
Oh, okay.
No, but it was like literally from that time, and even watching it as a kid, you're just like, oh man, this is bad. Like the messaging and the things that he's saying, right? Because he's always like, putting his wife, trying to put her in place, and she's being all demure and etc. Right?
Oh yeah.
And his daughter is trying to live a life, and he's just like, no, you don't have to do that, kind of thing. And it's just like,
show is this?
What's that?
What show is this?
Fine, I'll Google it. I'll cut out this part where me Googling it. So yeah, it was All in the Family. That was the show.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Wait, didn't that have an episode where one of the kids gets like molested because a stranger offers him a bike?
Probably.
And then they never talk about it again.
Probably.
All right, cool.
But yeah, my point was that show was literally from like 71 or whatever, and it was just like, oh, the attitude was just so bad.
Yeah, I guess the 90s were like 30 years ago.
Sure. But even then it was like, like things had progressed along, and looking back now, you're still like, oh, that's bad news. But there was some stuff that wasn't bad news.
That's true. Like, I mean, there's there's lots of good movies from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, but there was a lot of like really bad gay stereotypes was a huge trend.
Yes.
And just making them just the gay people specifically the butt of every joke, or even worse, when like a movie like Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, where a trans woman is again like the villain and also the butt of most of the jokes. Yeah. But yeah, should I tell you about the movies?
Sure, let's do it.
So I want to say that most rom-coms, when you really look closely, there's something kind of creepy about them, whether it's like, a guy being like, no, you don't mean no, you want to be together, and then he kind of forces his way through or whatever.
I was about to say, to piggyback on your comment, 100% of the times, yes.
Right?
All rom-coms have a terrible, creepy element to them.
So these three movies are movies that I watched a lot as a kid because my mom really liked them.
Nice.
And I just I'm going to tell you the plot. I'm going to tell you the red flags. Because when you just say the plot out loud, you're like, wow, when you take away the cool scenery and the music and the attractive actors, it's really fucked up.
Sure.
So my number 3 on my list is French Kiss, which came out in 1995. It starred Meg Ryan, Kevin Kline, Timothy Hutton, and Jean Reno.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen it?
I don't think so, but I'm picturing her in France.
You are correct.
Right. But I definitely haven't seen this movie.
So Meg Ryan plays Kate, and she's engaged to Charlie, which is Timothy Hutton. She takes him to a house that she wants to buy because she has a secret nest egg saved up. And I think it's something adorable, like $40,000.
Yeah.
For a 2-story house.
Nice.
Okay, sure. So she takes him to show him this house, and he freaks out and goes, you know what, he might have been on a business, he's on a business trip to France.
Okay.
He wanted her to go with him, but she's afraid of flying. And a couple days into him being in France, he calls her, he says he's met someone, and she makes him feel alive, and he breaks off the engagement.
Oh.
So she gets on a plane and flies to France. And she's seated next to Kevin Kline, who plays Luke, on the plane. And he sees that she's afraid, so he picks an argument with her to, like, get her distracted while the plane takes off.
Yeah.
And they have, like, a hate-at-first-sight relationship. But it turns out that Kevin Kline is a jewel thief.
Nice.
And he has stolen a very expensive necklace. And he's kind of known as a jewel thief. So he hides it in her bag because this is pre-9/11. It's 1995. And apparently your bags don't get checked.
Yeah. And as an internationally known jewel thief, you can still just like walk through an airport. No problem.
Yeah, totally. So he hides it in her bag. And they get separated at the airport. But then he meets up with her. Her bags get stolen, blah, blah, blah. Turns out she still has the necklace. He decides to help her win back Charlie because she has his necklace, basically.
Right.
As the movie goes on, you find out that he was supposed to inherit a vineyard, but he lost it to his brother in a game of poker when they were both very drunk.
Standard.
Yeah. So he's stolen this necklace so that he can sell it, so that he can buy a shitty vineyard with no plants on it and start his own vineyard.
Sure. Turn it around.
He teaches her how to act around Charlie, and they finally meet up with him. And then Charlie and Kate go on a date as, like, under the ruse of, we're going to discuss how to split up our assets.
Mm-hmm.
And his girlfriend, Juliet, is getting distracted by Luke. So then Kate and Charlie end up going back to her hotel room, and they have this little conversation. Like, they're going to have sex, but then he's like, I love this new you. You're so bright and vibrant and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, no, I'm still the same person and I want the same things. So if you want me like this, it's not happening.
Yeah, it's not the real me.
Yeah, so they break up. Luke goes with Juliet to her room, and they're gonna have sex, and then he calls her Kate.
Oh.
And she gets mad, so he leaves.
Sure.
So Jean Reno is a police officer who's trying to track down Kevin Kline, or Luke, sorry. And he talks to Kate and is like, if you just give me back the necklace, then I won't arrest him.
But
so what Kate does is she comes up with this huge scheme where she goes into Tiffany's to sell the necklace on his behalf and ends up signing over her nest egg to him, but like they put it on like the Tiffany's check, I guess. Right,
okay. But also, this necklace, he stole it from America, presumably.
Yeah, I don't know why he decided to bring it back to France.
No, but I just mean, like, I guess maybe a genre like Interpol or something, because it's like, why would he...
I think he is Interpol.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah. So she gives him the check and like they would only give you 40,000, and he's like, but it's blah blah blah, it's worth like 100 billion. She's like, there was flaws, and he's like, yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
It's still enough. So then she goes to go back to America, and then he runs into Jean Reno, and Jean Reno's like, let me tell you a story. And he tells him. So then Luke goes to the plane and, I don't know, tells her he wants her, and then she ends up staying in France with him to work and live with him on his vineyard. The end.
It sounds convoluted for sure.
It is convoluted, and that's totally like a romance thing. Even with romance books, like I read a fair amount of romance novels, and I can never describe them in one sentence. It's not like boy meets girl and they fall in love. It's always like boy meets girl, but it turns out that she killed his cousin, but it wasn't actually his cousin, and it was okay because the cousin cheated on him with his ex-wife. Like, it's always insane.
Sure. Well, I guess because, like, those other stories are too simplistic, so, you know, you gotta add some twists.
Gotta add all the twists.
Yeah.
So this is kind of my red flags for this movie. First of all, she calls Juliet, like, every bad name in the book, basically.
Mm.
And that's fine that you're angry that somebody's cheated on your spouse, but, like, your spouse is the one who's cheated.
Yeah.
Unless, like, some therapy goes on or something, like, even if she got back together with him, she'd always be thinking that he'd be cheating on her again, right?
I mean, possibly, yeah.
Anyways, it didn't bother me then, but it bothers me now. I don't really like the term homewrecker anymore because I feel like it's more on the relationship than the person outside of the relationship.
Well, or like that, it takes two people to tango, as it were, right? So it's like...
Yeah, totally. The other thing is that Kevin Kline is an actual criminal.
Yeah.
Who makes really poor decisions. He lost his birthright. He stole a necklace. Like, I just don't... And she specifically states to Charlie that she's the same person who wants security and a nice home. And I just don't see the relationship lasting.
Yeah, I was going to say, is he, like, painted... Like, he's a lifelong criminal, and then he steals this necklace, or it's like he's done minor petty stuff or nothing hardcore, and then he stole this necklace.
Stealing the necklace is not the only crime he commits in the movie.
Nice.
He also steals a car to drive her from her hotel to the train.
Sure, I mean, who hasn't done that?
He steals, because they run into his brother at one point, so he steals his credit card and charges their hotel room to his credit card and then buys her an expensive dress.
Yeah, I was about to say classic night on the town on someone else.
Yeah, so he's like committing crimes all over the place.
Right.
I don't see him just turning over a new leaf and being like, now I'm not a criminal.
Sure.
But Jean Reno also is like soft on him because he saved his life.
Ah.
That's why he gives him the chance instead of just arresting him.
Right.
But yeah, so I mean it's a fun movie because they're just all over France. Like, it seems like it's a nice vacation for all the actors.
Sure.
And the soundtrack's good, and it's kind of fun to watch because Meg Ryan is pregnant in the movie, like in real life.
Yeah.
So all of her outfits are to hide her pregnancy belly.
Well, and it also sounds like, in a sort of reverse, but Meg Ryan had that kind of presence that, like, she's the more, like, it's not like boy going after girl situation. It's like she's trying to, like, resolve a life or a love situation, right?
Yeah, she's going after Charlie the whole movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, like, Kevin Kline kind of nags her a lot.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. It's not too problematic. It's okay. There's not too many red flags. You can probably enjoy it. But I just don't see the relationship lasting after the movie ends.
Right.
I feel like Luke is what's it called when you date somebody right after you end a long-term relationship? A rebound?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like a rebound. He's going to commit more crime. She's not going to be comfortable with it. She's going to go back to America.
Time to write the sequel, Devin.
I'm going to write the sequel.
Yeah.
Meg Ryan is a 50-year-old wine mom. Okay, so the next one, classic duo, Meg Ryan coming back with Tom Hanks.
Ooh.
They've done lots of movies together. You know, like Sleepless in Seattle is a classic. Joe versus a Volcano is great. But I want to specifically talk about You've Got Mail,
Oh, yes.
which came out in 1998. Have you seen it?
No, but I'm aware of of it, of course, because it was huge. But it also, even to me, who's someone who has not seen it, seemed weird,
Yeah.
right?
Um, You've Got Mail is actually based on a movie, like an older movie. I think it's from the 30s or 40s. It's black and white. I've seen it, called The Shop Around the Corner,
Okay.
where a man and a woman are exchanging letters from a newspaper class, personal ad kind of thing. And it's kind of a sweet, cute movie.
Mm-hmm.
And You've Got Mail is trying to update that for the 90s by making it email.
Whoa, email.
So Meg Ryan plays Kathleen, and Tom Hanks plays Joe, and they're both in relationships at the beginning of the movie, but they've met in an over 30s chat room on AOL or whatever, and they talk every day, and I'll just say they talk every day.
Sure.
And they're not sexting or cybering or anything like that.
Yeah.
Meg Ryan owns a bookstore called Shop Around the Corner, which is a children's bookstore that her mother used to own and then she inherited. Mm. And it's successful. And Joe his family owns Fox Books, which is kind of like a Chapters or whatever type thing.
Yeah, the Barnes and Noble or whatever it was.
Barnes and Noble, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
It opens up a block away from her work, from her shop around the corner. They have a very antagonistic, face-to-face relationship because they don't know that they've been exchanging emails with each other. They haven't given any personal details.
Yeah.
And so they kind of engage in marketing warfare almost. What ends up happening is that Shop Around the Corner ends up closing. They just go out of business from the Fox books.
Right.
But before that happens, they decide to meet in person. And Meg Ryan goes to the cafe, and Tom Hanks gets there and sees that it's her and decides to not tell her that she's been talking to him and kind of go in there and antagonize her a bit.
Oh, weird.
And then she ends up saying something hurtful to him, and he gets upset and leaves. And then he doesn't talk to her on email for a few days until she kind of indirectly apologizes because she said, "Oh, I saw this guy. I was hoping to see you, but I saw this guy who I don't get along with, and I said something really mean to him, and I feel terrible."
Right.
So then, once the store closes, after that, her relationship also kind of ends, and his relationship kind of ends. And so he starts coming around to her house, even though she doesn't want to see him. They become friends, kind of.
Yeah. So still at this point, he is the only one who knows that it's her that he's emailing.
Yeah, she doesn't.
She doesn't know.
She doesn't know. She's still emailing him, but she's also hanging out with him in person, but she doesn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. He finally agrees to meet up with her again, but before they meet up, Tom Hanks in person goes to her and he's like, "Hey, what if we weren't business competitors and we had met each other and fallen in love?" He's like, "I would have married you on the spot." And she's like, I'm uncomfortable." And he's like, "Yeah, have a good date. Bye." And then so the very last scene in the movie is her going to the park to meet him. And then it's Tom Hanks. And she's like, "I was hoping it was you." And then they kiss and then the credits roll.
Wow.
Yeah, it's it's very weird that he didn't tell her and that he continued on and then he tried to befriend her. It's like a weird power play, right?
Yeah. Also, I was unaware because I haven't seen it, that they were in relationships when that was kind of all half going on or whatever.
Yeah, so they weren't like declaring their love for each other or anything like that, but they were like they I mean like without revealing personal details, they were kind of having like an intimate it was emotional cheating.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Like, because there could be that line of just like, okay, you're just chatting with a friend, cool, but then you could go
Yeah.
beyond that.
Yeah, and it was like definitely like they looked forward to emails from each other.
Yeah,
And they did agree to meet before either of them were out of their relationships.
odd.
Yeah. And like they weren't like casual relationships, they were both living with their significant others. So I don't
Yeah,
know if they were planning on like having an affair or what was going to happen there, or if they were going to meet and then both leave their partners. I don't know what their plans were.
right. Yeah, we're not privy to that info.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you think that's kind of weird? Like there's so much weird like it's weird that they were neither of them were super into their partners and it's pretty obvious.
Right.
So like my first thing is like why wouldn't you just break up?
Yeah.
The second thing is like it's very weird to me that he kind of had that bizarre position of power over her.
Yeah, that is odd. Like, because normally, I guess maybe that was the thing, but it's like when there would be that reveal, then they would both learn, or some way, so that it's not just like one person lording that information over the other.
Yeah, and it like makes me wonder like if him and her like in person had kissed, would he like consider that like cheating on his cyber self? Like, and at like what point would he tell her? Would he just stop talking to her over email?
Yeah.
Would he always be wondering if she was in love with email guy over him? Like there's so many weird things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It rubs me the wrong way.
Well, and like I said before, you had explained this to me, even from what I had gleaned from, say, pop culture, it sounded weird. And now it sounds even more weird.
Yeah.
But you're not supposed to, like you were saying previously, you're not supposed to notice that. You got Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan, and they're cute and happy together. It's all good.
And they are cute and happy together. Like if you watch it, like they do have good on-screen chemistry, and like
Yeah.
Meg Ryan was at like the peak of her career in the 90s.
Yeah.
She had like cute girl down, cute relatable girl.
Yeah, it always just struck me as so weird because I had heard that part about it's like that they were rival businesses, but I didn't know that he like caused her business to go out of business. It's like that's not good.
Yeah, like not directly. Like he didn't really like she was kind of more on the offensive based on his email advice. But yeah, he did. Yeah, she does go out of business because his store opens.
Right.
Yeah. And even like earlier in the movie, before he's met her, like at all,
Yeah.
he goes into the bookshop with his dad's kids because his dad's on his like third marriage or something.
Mm.
And he has young kids. So they go for story time. So he knows who she is, but she doesn't know that he owns a bookshop that's going in. Like he doesn't tell her any of that.
Right.
And it like comes up in conversation and he still doesn't say anything. He just seems slimy.
Well, he is a business person.
I guess so, but I don't know. Tom Hanks, do better. Next movie.
Sure.
Okay. This movie, when I tell you the plot, you're going to be like, what the actual fuck? But it was one of my favorite movies as a kid, and it made me want to go to Europe.
Sure.
And so I'm going to tell you about 1994's Only You. Have you seen it?
Who's in this?
Marissa Tomei, Robert
Yes.
Downey Jr., Bonnie Hunt, and Billy Zane.
Right. I have heard of this, but I don't think I've seen this.
Okay. So, strap in.
Yeah, no, I've definitely heard of this movie, but I haven't seen this.
Marissa Tomei plays Faith. She and Bonnie Hunt, who plays Kate, have been friends since they were kids. Kate marries Faith's brother, and Faith is engaged to a podiatrist.
Mm-hmm.
And the movie starts with like flashbacks to when they were kids. They were doing the Ouija board with their brother, and it's revealed that Faith is going to marry Damon Bradley. And then when they're a little bit older, they go to the fair, and a fortune teller tells Faith that she's going to marry Damon Bradley.
Whoa.
Right? Woo. Spoilers, it turns out that her brother moved to the Ouija board and paid the fortune teller because he hated Damon Bradley. But anyways, Faith is now an adult and she's engaged to be married to this podiatrist who is not named Damon Bradley.
Fair.
And she is trying on her very ugly wedding dress, which is a gift from her mother-in-law. And she gets a phone call from Damon Bradley.
Whoa.
A colleague of her husband.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that he's about to board a plane to Rome. So she goes to the airport.
Wait. He just randomly calls his colleague's fiance and is like, hey, I'm getting on a plane.
Well, he doesn't call her. He calls to leave a message for her fiance.
Okay.
And when he says his name is Damon Bradley, she freaks out and heads to the airport.
Okay. Sorry, so I misunderstood the situation. He was trying to reach her fiance.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she goes to the airport. Kate comes with her. They end up getting on a flight to Rome.
Okay.
Kate reveals that she thinks that Faith's brother is cheating on her. And so then they're in Rome. They're looking for Damon Bradley everywhere. They can't find him. And then they go to a restaurant that they find out he has reservations at. The waiter says he's that guy in the blue coat, but she doesn't see his face. He gets up and gets lost in the crowd, and she runs after him, and one of her shoes comes off, and then this guy in a blue blazer picks up the shoe and runs after her, and it's Robert Downey Jr.
Oh.
Gives her shoe back, and he goes, "What the fuck are you doing?" And so Kate explains that she has always felt like she should be with Damon Bradley. Tell them the story, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, "I'm Damon Bradley." And Faith faints, and then they go on a date.
But she's still engaged at this point, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
So they go on this date. They have a lot in common. They're really hitting it off. They go back to his place. They're about to have sex, and she's like, "Wait, I have to tell you something." And he's like, "What?" And she's like, "I'm engaged to your friend, Dr. Podiatrist. I have to call him and break up with him because you're my soulmate." And he's like, "What? Don't do that." And she's like, "No, I want to be with you properly." And so she starts to call, and he hangs up the phone, and he's like, "I have to tell you something too.
I can see this coming."
My name's not Damon Bradley." It's
Yep.
Peter Wright. So she gets mad and storms off. Good.
Sure.
Because if they had sex, that's kind of sexual assault. Just saying. She goes home. She's upset. He's trying to get her back. She starts packing. They're going to go back. So kind of while this is going on, Kate's met a handsome Italian man who she's flirting with. She hasn't done anything. She hasn't cheated on her husband or anything yet.
Yeah, just flirting in Italy. It's fine.
Yeah. That's important in the future. I just had to mention it.
Okay.
So then as they're about to leave for the airport, Peter comes, and before they get in the taxi, he's like, I found Damon Bradley. I know where he is. I felt so bad. I did all the research. I found him. He's in this hotel somewhere else in Italy. I can't remember where.
Sure.
And then Italian guy's like, I have a convertible. Let's go. So Faith, Kate, Peter, and Italian guy drive down to this other hotel. It turns out that Damon Bradley is Billy Zane.
Nice.
And he's hot and dumb. He's a himbo. Anyways, they set up a date for Faith and Billy Zane. There's this really weird scene where she's getting ready, and Peter's like, and she's in the bathroom, and Peter's like handing her the clothes and shoes and jewelry she wants to wear, but like before she can ask for it. So she's like, oh, can you hand me that? And then he puts it in her hand. I guess trying to show that he knows her better than she knows herself or something. But it's a weird scene. It's a weird scene, Dan. So she goes on the date with Billy Zane. He's really dumb. They don't have that much in common. Mm-hmm. And he kind of gets grabby. And, they go on a boat first, which with Italian guy, like a big yacht with Italian guy, Kate, and Peter. Billy Zane gets grabby, and then Peter comes and punches him in the face.
Whoa.
Because she's kind of like, oh no, don't do that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And then he yells at Billy Zane, this wasn't part of the deal. And she's like, what? And he turns out that Peter hired Billy Zane to pretend to be Damon Bradley. Because I think he wanted to see if she was just not into him for his looks, or like, I don't really know what his strategy was. If it was just keeping her in the country longer. Sure,
yeah, that, so that she can't, or she doesn't leave immediately.
Yeah, I don't really know what his end game was, but it was a tactic. So then Kate's husband's been trying to like get in touch with her this whole time. Mm-hmm. But she hasn't been answering his calls because she's mad at him because she thinks he's cheating. So he comes to Italy to come get her. Also, she rejects Italian guy when he tries to kiss her.
All right.
So they kind of like make up, and then that's when it's revealed that there was never a Damon Bradley.
But the phone...
yeah. Well, that there was a Damon Bradley, but it like he was moving Luigi board, and then he paid the fortune teller.
Right.
So Faith is all sad, and she goes to leave. She doesn't hear that part, though. That's like after she's like headed to the airport. And so when she gets to the airport, Damon Bradley is flagged over the PA.
Ah.
So she runs to where he's going to be, and Peter is also at the airport and also runs towards her. And it turns out that Damon Bradley is just a guy that's not that attractive. And she's like, we're supposed to be together. And he's like, I don't know you. Good luck with your life. And then she runs to the plane that Peter is on, and they kiss. And then the credits roll.
Wait, why is he also on a plane, though?
He also is from America.
Oh, okay, sorry. I missed that part.
He's going back home.
Right. Wait, and so let's just rewind a little bit. So Marissa Tomei comes up to you and says, hey, we're supposed to be together, and Buddy's just like, nah, I'm out.
Yeah, basically.
That seems like he's, at least say hi.
If Marissa Tomei came up to me and said we're meant to be together, I'd be like, yeah.
Yeah, like you wouldn't immediately say no. You'd be like, all right, let's have a conversation about this at least.
Let's have a coffee.
Yeah.
But he's just like, I'm good, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good points about this movie. It's very beautiful because it's set in Italy.
Sure.
And lots of beautiful landscapes and stuff. The soundtrack is done by Quartetto Gelato, which is a string quartet, and they're great. I've seen them in concert a few times.
Nice.
Nerd. But yeah, like when you break it down, it's a very weird story, right?
Yes.
Like, it's weird that she is engaged to a guy that she is ready to drop at a phone call.
Yeah, exactly. Just immediately.
Like, a phone call that doesn't even last a minute. Just like, fuck you, podiatrist.
Basically, yeah.
It's weird that Robert Downey Jr. lies to her so much.
Mm-hmm.
And that's never, like, an issue later.
Yeah, like, obviously when they first meet, that's, like, the classic kind of, like, he used it to meet her. Okay, there's going to be the reveal that it's not him. Got it. But it's like, yeah, he could have done it, like midway or partway, be like, okay, look, hey, I got to tell you, I'm not Damon Bradley, but we're having a good time or whatever, right? Not later in the evening.
Yeah, and then it's even weirder that he hires Billy Zane.
Yes, that is definitely an extra layer.
Like, I wouldn't have minded it if Billy Zane was Damon Bradley and they went on a date and she decided that they weren't compatible and she kind of had a little crisis because she's always thought she was supposed to be with Damon Bradley, but then she realizes that Peter Wright is the person for her. Yeah,
or just that, like, don't trust just the rando and I should go with, not the fates, as it were.
Yeah. Or, like, I don't know, if she, like, maybe wasn't such an asshole to her fiance, who I assume was in love with her.
Yeah. Yeah, has this guy never seen or heard from the whole movie?
You see him at the engagement party, and you see one scene where he's doing foot surgery.
Right.
And I think he's supposed to be not sympathetic because at their engagement party, she has her hair a certain way and he tucks a piece of hair behind her ear.
Right.
And she's like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, now you're perfect. Like, just really offhandedly.
Right.
So I guess maybe that is supposed to mean that he's a giant asshole who deserved it.
Yeah, he's controlling and he just wants Marissa Tomei as a trophy or whatever.
Yeah, but that's the only indication that that's why that is.
Yeah, it's weird because then you would think that there might be some kind of like dialogue with her sister about, her upcoming marriage and blah, 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 some kind of reveals about some things.
Yeah, they do have like conversations, but it's never about podiatrist being a bad guy.
Right.
She's just worried about her.
Yeah. Weird.
Actually, now that I think about it, I think she lies to him and tells him she's going to her mom's for the weekend or something.
Right.
But
yeah, because like obviously, how do you just randomly be like, I'm going to Rome?
Going to Rome to find Damon Bradley.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's not romantic. Everything is either creepy or asshole-ish.
Yeah. Well, I think, like you said, like the next level of Robert Downey Jr.'s plan is like, okay, dude, now you've taken it too far.
Yeah, like how many David Bradleys are you gonna hire, dude?
Yeah.
And will it all be Billy Zane in different wigs? Because I forgot to mention that Billy Zane wears a wig.
Nice.
So that he has long, like, shoulder-length hair. And when Robert Downey Jr. punches him, his wig falls off.
Oh, okay.
So he's bald.
Ah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's all I got. Those are the 3 movies I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll watch any of them?
Probably not.
That's fair.
But I was gonna say, yeah, like looking back now, what do you feel is like kind of your main kind of like, okay, look, nope, kind of thing?
Well, I think normalizing lying to people in romantic comedies is like a pretty bad thing.
Right.
And all three of those movies do that in one way or another.
I was about to say, I think that happens in like every rom-com.
Yeah, like it would. I mean, it would be nice to see, like, if you have to have lying, if there was like a consequence to it.
Sure.
I don't know. You should definitely not tell people you're Damon Bradley if you're not Damon Bradley. But I don't know. I think like as I get older, I don't want to see these big theatrical, like fantastic love stories. I kind of prefer like smaller, more realistic ones, I guess.
Sure. And I was about to ask, as you were saying that kind of twinged my, like these kind of movies don't really seem to be coming out though as much these days. They're more just going direct to streaming.
Yeah, there was like a phase in like, I want to say around 2010 where there was like post Love Actually.
Yeah.
But where there was several love stories going on that were all loosely connected, like Love Actually.
Right.
So there was like he's just not that into you, What to Expect When You're Expecting, Mother's Day, Valentine's Day. Like there was a bunch of movies like that where it was all like vignettes, I guess, and they're all terrible too.
Well, but I was gonna say there was also a string of them with like Matthew McConaughey and
oh my god,
what's her face?
I didn't even mention like you're thinking of like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Yeah, but there was like 4 or 5 of them, like all of that same kind of vein.
Yeah, there was like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, which is him and Kate Hudson.
Kate Hudson, that's who I was thinking of.
There was Ghosts of Girlfriend Past, which I think was him and Kate. I think it was a girl from Underworld.
Beckinsale?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I don't remember. And then there was Failure to Launch, which was him and Sarah Jessica Parker.
Yes. And
they're all bad.
Yeah, no, but I was gonna say there was like almost an attempt to like bring that genre back in a bigger way, but I guess they made money because I remember there was like that one with Luke Wilson with I think Kate Hudson again. And
which one was that one?
It's the one where he's like a writer and he's writing a book and then it flashes back to his book, like, but he's writing it as it goes or whatever. And she's like, I only read the end of the book to find out if it's good. And he's like, no, that's not how you should do it. And I don't remember. I watched like 10 seconds from Booth and I was like, wow, that seemed awful.
Wow, I don't even remember that one.
Yeah, but I remember that there was a big glut of them to try to like, I guess they were making money, right? I mean, that's what Hollywood's about. So
yeah.
But I guess I just mean in the last few years, you're not really seeing them as much.
There was like a kind of rom-com, I can't remember, I think it was called Ruby, that was a very similar premise to what you just described, but it was like an artsy rom-com.
Yeah.
Because it's about a writer who writes this perfect woman and then she comes to life.
Oh.
And then he figures out that he can make her do what he wants if he writes it on his typewriter.
So this is a horror movie is what you're saying.
Kind of, yeah. And then she figures out and like kind of goes crazy. And then he kind of frees her in the end, I guess. Yeah. And you don't know if it's happening in real life or just in his imagination.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice. But I was gonna say, yeah, like those kinds of films don't seem to be hitting the big screen as much because the small screen audience, you got streaming services and stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
totally. There.
Yeah. What sitcoms do you want to talk about?
Well, I just thought it was interesting. Like when you text me about the topic, I just went through a big kind of lists of what sitcoms were going on, and it was interesting to me because I never really got into sitcoms, probably for obvious reasons, but I had seen a lot more of sitcoms than I thought, kind of a thing. Or okay. I remember there would be times, for example, like a certain show would be on when I got home from school or whatever, and so you just watch something, right?
Yeah.
So I've seen a few, and I thought it was just kind of interesting, like you were talking about the problematic rom-coms, that a lot of these sitcoms, when you look back at them, there's some problematic elements.
Oh, for sure.
Right. But I also thought that was kind of interesting. Like, so for example, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which is from 1990, of course, Will Smith, and I don't remember watching the show as much, but I definitely remember story like arcs or like, major standout things. And it's
when
just,
the Fresh Prince got shot, so Carlton bought a gun?
I don't remember that.
Oh.
No, but I was going to say that show it tackled some big issues, interestingly.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Despite it being this fun, Will Smith rom-com or sitcom, sorry.
Well, I don't know if you've listened to the episode of You're Wrong About where they talk about Dan Quayle versus Murphy Brown.
I don't think I did.
Well, they talk
I skipped
a lot
a few
about
of their earlier ones.
Yeah, they talk a lot about Sweeps Week.
Right. Actually, wait, I do remember this. Yeah.
Because it would set their ad revenue for the year, and so you'd have the most interesting things go on in that time period.
Yes, and then she was pregnant. That's right, I do remember that.
Yeah. So I think like a lot of the Fresh Prince like special episodes probably would have taken place in like Sweeps Week, right?
Sure. Well, or just like there was like the storyline as well with like his real dad, and he doesn't want him, and how does he reconcile that kind of feeling, which is similar to like Guardians of the Galaxy 2, where it's just like, yeah, he might be your dad, but he's not your dad, right?
Right. Yeah.
So just stuff like that, and it was interesting just thinking back on it that I was like, oh yeah, I've seen a bunch of that show. But there was like tons of them that I'm like just not a fan of, but I've seen occasionally just because it was on television, like Friends, for example, from 94.
Oh my God, Friends is the worst.
Yes. Like, again, thinking back on it, you're just like, dude, this is some toxic, problematic stuff.
Yeah, and they're all like, there's a laugh track, so you don't notice, but they're all kind of mean to each other. Like, they're not good friends.
Well, and I think they were trying to kind of aping a little bit off of like Seinfeld, of course, which was these mean and horrible, but they were like friends together, right?
Yeah, I also didn't like Seinfeld. I know.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Like, I'm a big fan of Seinfeld, the show, but like I also considered that like not a sitcom, because to me, when someone says sitcom, I think more of like family-friendly type programming.
That's fair, yeah.
Right, whereas like Seinfeld or something like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, like Curb Your Enthusiasm, Community, those are like comedy shows, right?
Gotcha. Yeah.
I don't know, that's like how I kind of reconcile it in my brain.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, Friends was awful though. It did bad things.
Yeah, well, and it's just so because that show ran for what, 7 to 9 years, if I recall.
I think it was 10 years.
Oh God. And it was huge and etc. I don't know, like I definitely recall some episodes had some good comedy, but then the overall like stories of they're just like they're mean.
They're mean, they're bad partners. Like when they have girlfriends or boyfriends, they do bad things to their partners.
Yeah.
Especially Ross. Ross is the worst.
Yeah, I think that's a meme, but it's also true, right?
Yeah, he's just like, I don't know. Like, there's one episode where I can't remember exactly, but he ends up giving his girlfriend a key to his house to, like, make up for some mistake he made. But he doesn't want her to have a key, so he gets a locksmith to change the locks. Like, that's fucked up. Just don't
it's just
give
like
her a key.
Yeah, exactly. Just don't give the key, man.
He also, when he's a college professor, he dates one of his students.
Yes. Yeah.
That didn't age well.
No.
Ugh. Okay. Who's next on your list?
Well, let's skip through some, and then so this was a show I actually did watch a lot of, but I didn't watch the end season or two. Was Frasier.
Oh, I used to like Frasier.
Yeah, and I remember watching it up until I think the season where Daphne and Niles drive off in the trailer or whatever, and then it ends, and then I think I remember seeing a couple episodes maybe after that where it's like because like her fiance sues her because he's a lawyer. Or Suzanne, or whatever. But I don't remember. I didn't really watch it to the end of the show. But there was a lot of good stuff in there, I thought. It was some good comedy.
Yeah, I think Frasier was mostly pretty good. I remember that because it was like early mid 90s,
It came out in 93, yeah.
93. Okay. So like there was an episode where Frasier's boss is gay and he thinks that Frasier has asked him on a date,
Right.
but it wasn't like he just thought they were hanging out and that they were friends because they have similar interests.
Sure, because
And they treat it well. They don't like treat it like he's a freak or anything. He's just like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not gay." And he's like, "Oh, that's fine."
right. Yeah, I was gonna say, well, the only thing that could be kind of is that, Niles creeping on Daphne the entire, show.
Yeah, that is kind of creepy, especially
Yeah.
because he's married, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a little but I mean,
Yeah.
overall, it was pretty good as I recall.
Yeah, no, I actually I did enjoy a lot of Frasier. I saw a lot of that. Let's
And
see.
it had a cute dog.
It did have the cute dog, yes. What about Third Rock from the Sun?
Third Rock from the Sun has such a soft spot in my heart.
Yeah, from 96. And I actually really enjoyed a lot of it as well. Again, I probably tapered off here and there, but I've seen more than I thought. But it's just so, I guess you could say it's sort of easy writing because they're all aliens. So you could just write anything and they're like, they don't understand it.
Do you remember the Super Bowl episode? Not the one where they interrupt the Super Bowl, but the one where you could get 3D glasses because they all have a dream. It was a two-parter, and their dreams were done in 3D. So if you wore 3D glasses, you could watch it in 3D.
I did not hear about this.
Oh my God. And then Sally's dream is like a black and white film noir.
Nice.
And Dick's dream was like a weird, almost S&M-y kind of vibe,
Mm-hmm.
where his girlfriend Mary knows he's an alien and she's kind of dressed up like a dominatrix. And then Tommy's is like a typical dream, like he's in his high school and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then Harry's dream is a musical number written by Randy Newman. It's so good.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I remember being so hyped for that episode and then because that was the one where the big giant head came to Earth and it was William Shatner.
I remember that, but I didn't know about that whole other part. That was the best part, of course, because they had that classic. He's like, I saw something on the wing.
Yeah, the dreams were the season finale, and then the season opener was William Shatner as the big giant head.
Right.
Sorry.
That's all right. That's nice. Yeah, I don't know. There was stuff like I never really watched the Drew Carey show.
Oh yeah, I think I watched a couple episodes here and there, but
yeah,
I don't really like the way that they treated Mimi.
Right.
Because most of the jokes about her was that she's fat.
Yeah,
and
wears a lot of makeup.
Yeah, and that she wears a lot of makeup, and that's just kind of lazy writing.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was thinking about this one, like you were talking about, was Will and Grace the one where they were roommates and he was gay?
Yes, and then they rebooted it in 2016.
Right, yeah, because that was from 98.
Yeah. That one, that was interesting because...
So if I recall, the cast was Will and Grace, and then he had there was a gay friend, and then a bitchy
Jack
friend.
And Karen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the actor that played Will isn't gay, but I think the actor who plays Jack is gay.
Right.
But it was interesting because you didn't really see gay people on TV a lot at that point.
Yeah, no, I remember there was articles or talk, and it's just breaking ground and etc. Right? So.
Yeah, but they weren't they were kind of portrayed as especially Jack as caricatures of gay people, but it was also there was no representation, so some representation is better than none at all, I guess.
Yeah, because I was gonna say I didn't watch the show, but I could imagine that they were writing it that like they're roommates because it's like she's not threatened by him or whatever, right? Like.
No, they used to be, well, okay, strap in. They were engaged.
Oh.
And they were going to get married, and then he figured out that he was gay, and then they kind of had a very destructive, codependent relationship after that.
I see.
Yeah. And like, at least for the first few seasons, you kind of got the vibe that Grace was maybe not like into him, but like possessive of him almost.
Right.
And then Karen was like the rich friend who needed like something to do during the day, so she ended up being Grace's assistant. But she was bad at it. But also Karen was the funniest person on the show.
Yeah. I just recall she would always have a glass of wine in her hand or whatever.
Or vodka or whatever.
Or vodka. But yeah, this was one we were talking a bit about previously on the Umbrella. It was called Just Shoot Me. That was the one with David Spade, where they were working at a modeling agency.
Yeah.
And again, I remember watching some of this show, but not remembering essentially anything. But I do recall, because again, this would be really probably problematic to look at now, where they just not belittle, but they really like dig into women's looks because it's a modeling agency or fashion magazine thing.
Yeah.
And now you'd be like, ooh.
Just Shoot Me, hey? That's what it was called?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember watching it, but I can't really remember anything except for the lady from Umbrella Academy was in it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's probably all you need to remember.
And David Spade, obviously.
And David Spade was in there, yeah. This was one, though, I actually did enjoy a lot of, was Spin City.
That had Michael J. Fox?
Yes, from 1996, and he plays the mayor of New York's kind of spin media guy.
Oh, I never really watched it.
I watched it a lot. I actually really enjoyed that one.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Because that one had, and if I recall correctly, there was a gay black man was also part of the cast. He worked in the crew. Because there was, yeah, that's right. Because there was like the horn dog guy, and then there was the black guy, and then there was two women as well. Everyone was good at their job, which made the show kind of interesting. There was no guy that was always like, oh, give it, or he's always screwing it up. It was like, no, everyone's like good at it. That's why they're there.
That's cool.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I really enjoyed that one. And it just had some good Michael J. Fox acting back on TV, right?
Fair enough, yeah.
Because that was before he revealed
Parkinson's, right?
That's right. Yeah. So because that was when he left the show, it was because he was like, I probably should leave because I can't act as much anymore because of my condition. So it was interesting to like rewatch or see some of it because he does move, throughout the show, but it's like it's not as bad, let's say.
Yeah. He was in The Good Wife.
I did not know that.
He plays a lawyer who has Parkinson's.
Oh.
But it was nice to see him in it. It made me happy whenever he was in it.
Nice.
He plays a lawyer who has Parkinson's and uses that to win cases.
Oh, God. There was also, I watched this one a lot as well, was News Radio from 1995.
Yes, I used to love that show with the guy from Kids in the Hall, right?
Dave Foley. Yes.
Dave Foley and Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Who was the girl in it?
Unfortunately, I don't remember their names, but I could recognize their faces.
Yeah.
There was also, of course, Phil Hartman.
Yeah, Phil Hartman was in it. Oh. Yeah,
and Stephen Root as well.
Who's that?
He's been in a ton of stuff. He's the bigger guy. He was the boss.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Again, you'd recognize him if you saw him in a second, right?
Wait, was he in Office Space?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, like I said, you'd recognize him in a second. But I watched a ton of that show, and obviously it was really difficult after Hartman died for them to continue, and they brought in John Lovitz, and I think it went only for another season or two, which I've watched some of that, but not all of it. But it was unfortunate, obviously, because the show was very comedic, very funny, and I enjoyed it a lot.
Me too. It was really well done.
I don't know. Yeah, and then from the 90s, there was. Did you ever watch The Ellen Show from 94.
Okay. So, okay, let's kind of. Here's the thing. In like the night, like I think it was around when she came out that I was started to be fairly certain that I was bisexual. So I remember watching after she came out because I was hoping to see girls kiss.
Right.
That's probably why I liked Xena so much. Like I wasn't out or anything, but yeah, that's all I remember about the Ellen Show.
Okay, fair enough.
Did you ever watch it?
No, I mean, again, it's not really my genre, and
that's fair.
Not really. I was never interested in that, but I was just curious because obviously she went on to do her talk show, and then there's been
controversy.
Yeah, I was about to say there's been reported stuff, but we're not sure or whatever. So didn't want to get into a thing, but I was just curious if you watched the show back in the day.
Yeah, I only to see if the girls kissed, though.
Okay, fair enough. It's just interesting, like I said, looking through, like there's still even more on the list that we didn't really talk about, like Mad About You is on there, and like Dharma and Greg came out in that era and stuff like that.
Did
Becker.
Mad About You end with them getting divorced?
Possibly. Again, I never watched these shows to the end.
I feel like the last episode was about them getting a divorce.
Really? Huh.
Yeah. Dharma and Greg was an interesting show too. I was mildly obsessed with that.
Because isn't the premise they just like randomly marry or something?
I think they like get drunk and married in Vegas, and she's super quirky, and he's like super straight-laced.
Yeah, straight-laced, button down.
Yeah, but it like I think it went for several seasons, but like after the first season, it was just recycling material.
Well, and that was one thing I wanted to, of course, speak about is that there was like when you look at the list of these shows, there's so many because it's like it must be just cheap to produce in a sense. It's like you build your couple sets and you're like done, right?
Oh yeah, like I feel like Friends had 3 sets that they used all the time.
Yeah, it's all you need, really, right?
Yeah.
Same even like a show like Seinfeld as well, like only has a few sets and stuff.
Or Roseanne, that had like maybe 3 sets.
I was going to say that's on the list as well from 1998 or 1988, sorry.
Yeah, that was interesting because wasn't that one of the first shows to show, like, for lack of a better word, like trashy American life?
I was about to say like the not picture perfect America, as it were.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was.
I think, I used to like Roseanne, I feel like. I mean, she's done some weird stuff lately, and I haven't seen the reboot, but I think I enjoyed it. I remember enjoying it.
Nice.
Yeah. And it had big friendly guy in it.
John Goodman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems like a friendly guy.
Yeah. But I would say, just for the sake of brevity here, I thought it was just kind of interesting to look at. I looked at a couple, or I listed some from like the 2000s and stuff like that, and how many more of these I just haven't seen because I just was like, either, I'm just, again, not my total genre, but like this one is kind of weird because The Office, of course, is massive from 2005.
Yeah.
And I am not a fan of The Office at all.
Oh, not at all?
No, I don't like cringe comedy.
I don't think I've seen it, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I've seen like 4 episodes and I was like, this is not for me. So
it doesn't have a laugh track, right?
I don't think so, no.
I feel like Arrested Development kind of started that train of no laugh tracks. Is that, I don't know, I might be making that up.
Well, and again, because The Office famously was taken from the British Office, but it was only 6 episodes, or 8 maybe, let's say. Whereas this ran for like 14 years or whatever it ran for.
Yeah. I feel like The Office opened the door for Parks and Rec, which is a great show.
Absolutely did, because that's obviously on the list here. It's from 2009. But I've only ever watched season 1 of that. But a lot of people say it gets better after season like 2 or something like that.
Yeah, I've watched all of it. And
oh, really?
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I thought it was really good. I think season 1 tries to be a little bit like, I guess, like a little cringy. But season like 2 and 3, it's just like these are quirky people who really care about each other.
Just living their quirky life.
Just living their quirky life and funny things happen.
Right.
Which I like. I like it when people are nice to each other.
Sure.
I like it when they don't lie about being Damon Bradley.
Yeah, that sounds like it. This one I did watch a bunch of, but then tapered off, of course, was How I Met Your Mother.
Oh, yeah, that kind of got bad after a while, right?
Yeah, I stopped watching after 5 seasons, I believe.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But that one, again, talking about, it's just like, it's weird, because obviously Barney's character is a womanizer.
Mm-hmm.
Ted's character is, he's terrible, like a Ross type, right?
Yeah.
But everyone else is kind of, or Lily is also pretty terrible when you like look at a lot of her actions and stuff like that. The only one that is Marshall. He's just like having a good time and trying to live life, right? And I guess Robin's all right.
Well, she was a Canadian pop star, so she's obviously great.
Yeah, Robin Sparkles. But did you ever watch Scrubs?
I know. I've tried to, and I just don't find it funny.
That's fair. Yeah, which is what you want in a comedy show.
I know everybody else loves it, but there's nothing entertaining about it to me.
Yeah, I've never really watched it or gotten into it either. I watched some of this for a little bit. Again, it was like one of those, it fell after school or during when I was back from classes, was My Name is Earl.
Oh, I did not watch that.
No, I watched a bunch of it. It was kind of interesting. Like initially I was kind of like, what is this premise or whatever? But then the more I kind of watched it, the more I was kind of enjoying it. And it was just one of those shows again where because it's just a guy who won a bunch of money in the lottery and he's trying to like make up for his karma. So they could just write anything, essentially, right? Because you're just like, he did this in his past and now he's trying to make up for it. And you're like, okay, like they could just write any kind of situation, which was, I know it ended before they got to like finish the show essentially, which was kind of too bad.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, it kind of got like, it was starting to get more popular, but I guess they were like, no, it's going to cost them too much, or maybe the actors wanted more, right? Because I had Jamie Presley in there and what's his name? You know his name anyway. But
yeah, wasn't he in a bunch of like, he was in like Clerks and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Jason Lee, I think it is.
Yeah.
What about the old 2.5 Men, Devin? Did you ever check that out?
Yeah, my parents liked it.
Mm-hmm.
So I watched some of it, but I just feel like, again, they're just mean people behaving badly.
Yeah. And obviously, yeah, that's the Charlie Sheen character.
But even his brother, who's supposed to be the nice one, is also kind of an asshole behaving badly.
Yeah.
The kid was fine, I guess.
Sure. I mean, he's a kid.
The kid. And then they killed off Charlie Sheen.
Sure.
And replaced him with Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah.
And I don't really know how they bridged that gap, but...
If I recall, I think I saw that episode. It was like he literally came in from like the beach or whatever, and he was like, hey, I'm hanging out in here or something. Like it was just something so weird.
The writers are like, we're tired. Just...
Yeah, basically.
But
then
live here now. Goodbye.
Going back to like you were saying with Roseanne was something that was Malcolm in the Middle.
Oh, I used to love Malcolm in the Middle.
Yeah, that's from 2000, like right on the nose. And that was, again, like a depiction of not a perfect type family, but a family.
Yeah, and it was really good.
Yeah, especially to anybody who's had siblings.
Yeah. And it's really sad, too, because Frankie Muniz doesn't have any memory now.
Really?
Yeah, he's got like a degenerative brain thing, and he like basically has no memory of of filming the show at all.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm pretty sure that's true.
Oh.
I'm gonna Google it later.
Yeah, no doubt. Tell me if I should cut that out or not.
Hang on 1 second. I'm pretty sure that also Frankie Muniz is not going to hear this.
Right, that's probably true.
He's had many strokes and memory loss.
Oh, bummer.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's obviously a young guy, right? Like, that's very unfortunate.
He's had 9 concussions.
Damn. I guess that explains, because I was thinking about Frankie Muniz while I was writing up this list, and I was like, I wonder why I don't see him in like other stuff, or he's just retired or what. And I guess, ouch, that sucks.
I can't pronounce that. Anyways, he's had like at least 15 of these like mini stroke attacks.
Oh, what a bummer.
Yeah. It is. It's sad, but that show was great.
Yeah, absolutely it was. And then the last two I was just going to bring up, which I thought were kind of funny because they came out in the same year, was the show called New Girl, which was the one with
Zooey Deschanel, right?
Yes. And
I never watched it, but some people are very obsessed with it.
Really? Okay. I never watched it either as well, but it was like the manic pixie girl living with roommates, right?
Living with all male roommates.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah.
And then you had Two Broke Girls, which came out in the same year, which I don't understand how that show still exists or existed for so long.
Yeah, that's starring Kat Denning, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I have not been able to sit through a whole episode, but I tried, but I couldn't.
Well, it's more than I've given it.
I guess if we're going to talk about all those, we should just, in passing, mention Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, I was going to say it's on the list from 2007, of course, which is one of the bigger sitcoms of the era.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big note from me.
I've seen a few episodes, but I don't know. There's a very good, I think it's Culture Detective, put out a YouTube video about like the adorable misogyny of the Big Bang Theory, and it's worth watching.
Yeah, I mean, obviously to someone who, let's say, is characterized as a geek or a nerd, it's like, it's like the offensive stereotype that I'm just like, ugh. And
yeah,
maybe they soften that as the show goes.
They're also like super shitty towards women in the whole series.
Yeah, that's no bueno.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of why. Like, I never watched it, never really got into it. So I can't comment too much about what I find problematic about it, aside from the fact that I don't like it.
They kind of like have 4 shitty male characters, and then they try to like gloss over it by being like, I like comic books and I'm smart.
Yeah.
So, but it did bring Blossom back to TV, so that's something.
Sure. Well, it's again, I mean, I thought it was just interesting looking back at some of these sitcoms. And like I said, I've seen more than I thought, but then I've also like haven't seen as much because it's just like, again, not my genre, or it's just like, it's not how I would even consume television back then.
Yeah, that's fair.
Back in the early 2000s, let's just say, right? Like, but it's just now we don't consume television like this as much, right?
You know, I didn't have cable for a long time, like growing up. So, like, on the 3 channels that we got, like, Friends was one of the shows, and, like, some of the other ones, like, the popular ones were ones that we would see, right? But it was, like, a family event to watch TV together in my house.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool. Like, it's nice to bond with each other and stuff. But now, I don't know. I don't really watch that many sitcoms because they're not really... I don't know. I binge watch She-Ra and then get you to do that.
Well, and it was interesting when I typed in kind of just like, what are the top like sitcoms in 2020? Mm-hmm. And there was like 5, maybe 10 or like, but whereas like if you type that in for like, you know, earlier years, there's just tons, right?
Oh yeah. What was on the list for 2020? Was it what? Modern Family?
Modern Family, The Good Place.
The Good Place is a sitcom?
I guess. I don't know. I've never watched it. It's funny.
Yeah, I've heard good things, but I don't
know. Young Sheldon was on that list.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, like still stuff like that where, again, it's not my usual cup of tea, as it were.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But like I said, there was some quality stuff in there. But even in these quality shows, there could still be some problematic elements, let's just say, from the past, right?
Definitely, especially when it comes to gay people, trans people, slut shaming.
I was going to say
people,
women.
Women.
Yeah.
They all have an episode where one of the actors gets to put on a fat suit, and then that's the whole joke.
Right.
They're like, look, they're fat. It's funny.
Well, and I guess again, like we've spoken about before, you know, you got to pump out 26 of these or whatever, and you know, you just got to write what you can.
Yeah, that's true.
And like you were saying with like gay stereotype stuff, it's just like it's an easy joke that you can write that the mass audience will laugh at.
Yeah, you just put some nail polishes on a guy, and then that's a joke.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But the times are progressing better, and some shows don't do that anymore. Yeah.
That, like, not to go to rant, but I find like a lot of like white guys in their 40s and 50s who are comedians, and they complain that like people are too sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like just actually that their jokes are bad.
Yes.
Because they're still like telling the same jokes.
Yeah, that's what's interesting. Because I don't follow, but once in a while I'll get into like stand-up comedy stuff and just kind of see what's kind of going on in the landscape. And yeah, the good comedians are still funny in today's time. You know what I mean? Yeah, and then the ones that are kind of washed up, they just go on stage and they're like, "Gay people, am I right?" Yeah. Yeah, and that, but it's like even routines from the past that are still funny now, or because they're about something like not about that kind of humor, right? Like you said previously with Mel Brooks stuff, it's not punching down. It's still clever. It's still funny. Totally. Yeah. I agree. I agree. No more gay people. Am I right? That's a play. Yeah. Although I would kind of laugh if somebody just walked on stage and said that. Like, what? Yeah. And then just like no further elaboration of the joke about like, oh, they buy flowers or something. No, it's like just no. Just gays. Women, they do things. Yeah. Thank you so much for listening. You can rate and review us on iTunes. You can go to or whatever you listen on. You can go to our website, tomeofuselessness.com. You can email us, tomeofuselessness@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. Or you can find us on social media where I don't post, at Tome of Uselessness. Did I miss anything? No, it sounds about right. I just... It's encourage people to look at something that's nothing. It's very zen. It's like I can follow this account, but they don't post. It's great. So we're not bothering your feed with the extra stuff. Yeah, it's like the empty bowl is you. Yeah. If an account is in a forest and no one posts, is it still an account? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Goodbye. Thanks for listening.